CJCL Toronto.
Hello and welcome to the Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. I'm your host, William Liu. And I thought, look, as a collective fan base, we got to take at least a 30-minute break from refreshing Twitter and looking at potential rumors as to whether or not Kevin Durant will eventually become a Raptor, and actually focus on some of the things that have tangibly happened to the Raptors roster, which includes the drafting of Christian Koloko with the 33rd pick in this year's draft, and definitely want to get more information on Christian and sort of his background. And so I thought we would bring in Jack Murphy, associate head coach of the Arizona Wildcats. Coach Murphy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Will. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, really. We definitely needed this break from... You don't understand. In Toronto, it's been all nonstop KD speculation. I imagine it's probably the same in Arizona.
No, it's the same out here for sure, and everyone's thinking he's going to the Raptors now. So I'm here to drum up some more heat for you guys.
Oh wait, hold on. So that's the talk out in Arizona, is that you guys are? I guess I don't even know who really knows about these things.
Yeah, nobody knows. Nobody knows. But based, I don't know. I think everybody here was hot and heavy thinking Kevin Durant was coming out here, but now it sounds like the Raptors are gaining more steam. So either way, it's an exciting time.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, listen, putting aside KD, I also thought it was an exciting time for the Raptors this offseason because I didn't expect a guy like Christian of his quality to be available at that pick. So I thought it was a really good bit of luck and also fortune and scouting for the Raptors to take Christian. So I guess I wanted to start potentially at the beginning. When did you first become aware of Christian Koloko? Were you involved in the recruitment and anything like that? But just your first impression when you first saw Christian Koloko or became aware of him.
Yeah, so fortunately, I was here all 3 years with Christian. So I got on staff right before he arrived as a freshman in 2019. So I wasn't involved in the recruitment, but I did coach him his freshman, sophomore, and junior year, and I really got a chance to see his maturation and growth over that time. And I'll be honest, when he was first coming from Sierra Canyon to Arizona, we had talked as a staff about possibly redshirting him. We had great front court in front of him. We had Zeke Naji, who was, an high school All-American coming ahead and ended up being one and done as the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. We had Chase Jeter returning as a senior. So Christian was almost like a luxury. But once he stepped on campus and started playing with our guys and getting more and more comfortable, even as a freshman, there was no chance we could redshirt him. He impacted some games later on during his freshman year, more so on the defensive end. And then going into his sophomore year, October of Christian's sophomore year, which would have been October of 2020, I'll say this. I mean, he was our best player in practice. I mean, Jason Terry was on the staff with us, and I remember looking at JT and just saying, hey, I don't know if we're going to have Christian for his junior year. He was playing that well for us in practice at that time. And, once the season hits, there was COVID. It was, we took a self-imposed ban that year from the postseason. It was kind of an up and down year for everyone. And I think Christian kind of fell into that up and down roller coaster year. But he put everything together this year for his junior season under Tommy Lloyd, and I can't say enough good things. The Raptors certainly got a first-round talent with the 33rd pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great to hear, and I think I guess I want to go back to the start of it, just in terms of what was he like at the start when you guys first got him in? What were the sort of areas of improvement that you guys needed him to reach in order to crack the rotation? And as you mentioned, I mean, he had a lot of heavy competition ahead of him, right? So obviously he wasn't going to do that right away. But what were some of the immediate areas of improvement that you needed to see from it at the start of when he came into your program, and how did that sort of progress throughout his time?
Yeah, I think the number one thing was just physically he had to put on weight. When he arrived on campus, he was very thin. And, I think he weighed somewhere around 205 pounds when he first stepped on campus as a near 7-footer. So obviously very, very thin, hadn't had a lot of experience in the weight room coming in. And so we put, our strength coach, Christopher Rounds, does a great job, and he really put a lot of effort and emphasis into Christian about getting him bigger and stronger without losing any of his agility and speed and quickness. And I think you got to give a ton of credit to Christian. And then we always discussed that no one was impacted more by COVID than Christian, because March of 2020, when the whole world went on pause, we were in Las Vegas for the Pac-12 tournament. Christian had just finished his freshman year, and he had to go back home to LA, for 4 or 5 months. Guys didn't even come back to campus. They went back home. And so he's in Los Angeles, unable to get into a gym, unable to get into a weight room, really lost some of that momentum that he had built up during his freshman year in terms of the weight room.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's something that from day one, we said he's got to get bigger and stronger, because he always had the ability on the defensive end to impact things, to switch ball screens, contest shots. And then offensively, once he got stronger, his confidence grew on the offensive end, and he was able to finish with dunks, lobs, just more power finishes around the rim, where, when you're weaker and thinner, younger, you kind of get bumped off those spots. So the weight room was a critical area for Christian, and as you can tell by the finished product right now, I mean, he did a great job in there over the course of his career.
Do you know roughly like where he's in right now in terms of the weight and the strength added?
Yeah, I don't know exactly right now, because I know that he's been doing some stuff getting ready for the draft and continued. Right. But I think he's probably around like 235, almost close to 240. So
that's impressive.
30 pounds. Yeah, no, really impressive. And it's all good, strong weight. And the thing with Christian is he's much stronger than he even looks. And you saw that this year when we played him. We played him some at the 4. And I know Raptors fans probably wouldn't believe that, but in college we played him at the 4 some. We have a kid, Umar Ballo, who's a young, big, strong guy. So when those two would play together, Christian would be playing, face-up foreman and switching out on the perimeter. And you have to be strong to do that, just because you're fighting through screens, doing some different things that as a normal traditional post you're not doing.
Right. I think that probably helped increase the confidence of scouts to see that he has this sort of depth in his role, because I think it's pretty clear that he could block shots. I mean, I think two things. Again, I'm not familiar too much with college basketball, so this is why I really wanted to get the perspective here. It's a couple of things stand out to me just even looking at the box scores. Like number one, he shot 35% from the free throw line in his freshman year. Now, of course, that was a small sample. Yep. 7 for 20 is. Yep. I mean, come on, you can't really judge that. But it seems like he really did make a big jump, because the last season that you could play for you guys, 73% as a big man, and he got to the free throw line enough times too. Can you describe sort of the work that he's put into that area of his game, and maybe even just speak to the jumper overall?
Yeah, no, for sure. He had an opportunity his freshman year to make 2 free throws to beat Oregon. If he made one, we would have tied and gone to double overtime, and he missed them both. Man. And Christian's the type of kid where he doesn't get down and depressed after something like that. Mm-hmm. He gets down and fired up, and he wanted to get right back in the gym the next day and work on his free throws. It's something that he worked on every day that he was here. And then his free throw line to elbow jumper to top of the key jumper came along really well. It almost reminds me, and I was in Denver with the Nuggets with a former Raptor, a Raptor great, Marcus Camby. Yep. Christian's jumper kind of reminds me of Marcus. He's got that free throw line, top of the key jumper down right now. And I think over time he'll be able to extend it out to 3. He's shown a willingness to work and get it better. His freshman year, even his sophomore year to a certain extent, if he was taking a jump shot on the bench, we were having a heart attack. This year, we almost were telling him, hey, man, if they're not going to guard you out there because they're sinking in on our other bigs, you got to make them pay. And so I think you saw that confidence grow. He put in a ton of work, and he's got good touch from the perimeter. Just like around the rim. So I think his skill level on the offensive end has certainly jumped off the page to me over the course of the last year.
Right, and I think it took a lot of people by surprise because I believe at the Combine there was a shooting drill, and his name popped up. I think he was second in the drill where he hit 16 of 25 from 3. Now, I don't know if these were contested. I don't know what the specific drill was, but I think there was optimism there, because I think in terms of the scouting where people would probably still say that that's something where it's emerging. But have you seen, I mean, it sounds good that, there are signs of this growth from him. Do you see any of the issue potentially in him stretching it out to the 3-point line? Because obviously in the NBA nowadays, like almost nobody shoots mid-range jumpers in that fashion anymore. But
right.
is that's the key? Can he stretch it out to 3, in your opinion?
I think he eventually can, yes. I mean, I was here at Arizona for 4 years with Channing Frye. And Channing Frye, I think, made 1 3 in his college career and then ended up becoming one of the most prolific shooting big men that the NBA has ever had. So I'm not saying that he's going to beat Channing Frye, but I certainly have seen it, and I've worked out with Christian enough to see his touch and the feel he has from the perimeter. He will be able to extend it out to 3. Will it be his rookie year or, later on in his second year? I can't answer that, but I do believe that he has that within his game. But I also know that part of the great benefit that Christian is if he's setting screens, he's amazing as a roll guy. He can short roll and make plays out of there. He's a much better passer and ball handler than people give him credit for, and we put our bigs in a lot of those situations. So it's not like he's only going to be a stand still, catch and shoot 3-point shooter. I think Christian can do a lot of things on the offensive end.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting to hear for sure. Now, I think for fans and even for scouts, the one thing that's probably really hard for people to see is like what they are like behind the scenes, what they are as a teammate, how they work. So, can you speak to a little bit of that? How was he as a teammate? Because even as a freshman, I imagine he didn't play all that much. How did he handle not playing all that much? And just was he, what was his attitude like? Just as someone to work with as a person.
Yeah, Toronto, the city of Toronto, take Christian, the basketball player, out of it. The city of Toronto is blessed to have a guy of his character and stature come into their city. I mean, Christian's as good of a person as I've been around, and I've been around the game of basketball at a pretty high level for over 20 years now. He's an amazing human being. He's the youngest in his family, the only son with 5 older sisters, which pretty much means he had 6 moms growing up. So he can take orders and coaching.
That's a good man.
But he's fantastic in the locker room. I mean, everyone on the team was his friend. When it got down to business and he had to be tough and competitive, he certainly could do that. But he walks in every day with a smile on his face. And he's a big football fan. And I say like football, like European football. Yeah. He's a big Barcelona fan, loves Messi. Does not like PSG very much, so I would throw that in his face a lot.
Okay.
But he's a great guy to have in the locker room and just a great human being.
No, that sounds amazing, and it's good to hear because I know the Raptors have really valued like the culture that they have built as an organization, as a team. Because I think especially now when you're thinking about you could trade the whole team for Kevin Durant, for example, and it's like not saying Kevin Durant doesn't fit culture or anything like that, but it's just like the Raptors specifically value having these type of characters, these type of people in the organization who will work because there's a culture to improve. And I feel like he even just based on, his accolades, right? Winning most improved player. It's like, these are really positive traits that I think will fit the locker room really nicely. Now, I want to ask you, is there like a breakout game where he had that kind of changed maybe his confidence in himself at the collegiate level and also maybe in the coaching staff's confidence? It's like, wow, look at what we have here in this young man.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, he'd always shown flashes, even small flashes as a freshman, more so as a sophomore. But this year, coming into it, when we played Michigan in November in Las Vegas, and Michigan is Hunter Dickinson, who coming into the year was a preseason All-American. Some people thought he was going to be National College Basketball Player of the Year. It's a big center, really, really skilled. And Christian just dominated that matchup, and we dominated the game. And I think that was like the moment when Christian kind of woke up and realized, hey, wow, I can really do this at a high level. Mm-hmm. And as a team, our team realized the same thing. So I think that was probably the breakout game for Christian and the breakout game for our team in general. But yeah, I'll never forget his sophomore year. He came in my office and we talked about goals, and he said his goal was to be Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. And you know what? As a junior, he accomplished that goal. And I think that game against Michigan early on, that helped him know, hey, man, Defensive Player of the Year, I could be one of the best players in the country. And he truly was this year.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I'm definitely going to go back and check out that specific matchup. Now, I think, look, this past season, it really came into his own. And, I think some people may point to the change in head coach potentially as one of the reasons. Now, of course, I don't watch a lot of college basketball. I really wouldn't know. But could you describe some of the maybe tactical differences that may have changed between the two head coaches and whether or not that impacted Christian in some way?
Yeah, Coach Miller is a very good coach, and he played two bigs just like we played two bigs this year. Much more reliant on half court sets more so, and so it wasn't as like we would run, but it wasn't as like dedicated running. This year under Coach Lloyd, we're much more dedicated to the fast-paced offense, up and down, rim running. So I think that helped Christian because he got some easier baskets, whether it was just sprinting to the tip of the rim, finding them in transition, early post-ups, lobs off of ball screen actions, easy finishes at the rim around the basket. And then when we had to post him up or he got it back to the basket play, he already had that confidence from scoring earlier to where that, that helped him there too. I mean, he's one of the most efficient scorers in the country this year, and that efficiency went up each year. And I think a large part to that this year was the way Coach Lloyd, kind of tailored the offense in terms of fast pace while also trying to get downhill.
Right, absolutely. Now, I think defensively, that's where people are probably most excited about Christian because you see the ability. I mean, he blocked 2.8 shots per game, playing 25 minutes. Right, that's a lot of block shots. And I think maybe some people who may be a little bit skeptical might point to the fact that you guys did play two bigs. I probably freed him up a little bit to sort of come in from the weak side and maybe collect a few more blocks rather than maybe if you're the only big out there. But at the same time, from the film, it seemed like he was very defensively aware. And I think that one thing that stands out, again, from the numbers is that he was able to increase his blocks from 1.3 to 2.8 per game, but his fouls went from 2.7 to 2.8, which I think really shows a good awareness in terms of how to defend. So can you describe sort of the defensive responsibilities that you had in your program this past year?
Yeah, so even as a freshman and sophomore, we would switch ball screens at the end of the shot clock. So Christian got pretty adept at switching ball screens at the end of the shot clock. And then this year, with Christian, especially when he played that 4 for us, we switched him a lot. So he would guard on the perimeter. So some of those block shots are actually him defending perimeter players, whether they're driving and attacking the basket or jump shots on the perimeter. So, I mean, it makes it even more impressive because he's able to move his feet while keeping his hands up and not fouling. A lot of guys with his size and length cannot do that. So he's one of those rare guys that truly can guard on the inside and outside at a high level. He's not going to be somebody that you're going to have to put on the bench when a team goes small in the playoffs. Like he can switch and be really malleable there on the defensive end. And then in the low post, we did give Christian freedom to come and help obviously attack drives and shots at the rim. But the thing that I think is interesting is if he didn't block a shot, he was still able to recover and get rebounds. He was still one of our leading rebounders. Right. He had some monster games for us, especially in the NCAA tournament where he was cleaning up the glass. And there were some times where we'd watch back on film where he'd be like the lone man, like either on the offensive glass or the defensive glass. And in some ways, it's almost a security blanket that our other guys were like looking around, waiting for Christian to go get the rebound. He was that good. So not many shot blockers are contesting the shot, not getting it, and then still getting back to the other side of the glass, being able to secure a rebound. And Christian's able to do that.
Right. Now, I mean, look, Coach, everything you're saying sounds amazing, which, again, I kind of goes back to my original question of, like, I don't know how he fell to the second round.
No.
Like, I'm
telling you right now.
Yeah, why?
No, I'm telling you, as coaches, we don't understand it either. We think he should have been – obviously, he's a little bit older. I think he just turned 22. Yeah. But he should – in our opinion, we thought he was a top 20 guy. We had two other top 20 guys in Mathurin and Dalen Terry, who went to the Bulls at 18. And we thought Christian was just as talented. And those guys are fantastic. We love them. But, if Christian had gone 13 or 14, we wouldn't have been surprised. We would have thought, that's probably where he should go. So I think part of it is how the pre-draft process goes. I think also part of it is how big guys are valued nowadays in the NBA, or it's not as valuable as a position as maybe a bigger wing. But I've said it time and time again. I think the Raptors got an absolute steal at 33. I don't care where he was drafted. He's a fantastic young man. He's going to work his tail off and continue to get better and better. and don't expect from day one him to be the answer to any and all issues, but he's certainly going to be part of the solution in the long run.
Yeah, I think for him too. I'm sure for you guys are pretty happy that he landed in Toronto. Who, this is an organization that has a really good reputation for having developed not just prospects in general, but especially this type of prospect. Where I think the Raptors have a lot of examples of guys who may have looked a little bit older in terms of at the time of the draft, but were either late to the game, for example, like a Chris Boucher, like a Pascal Siakam, even like a Precious Achiuwa, and they're able to sort of get the best out of them 2 or 3 years down the line within their program. So that's really good to hear. Coach, I also wanted to ask you about your time with the Nuggets, man, because look, you were around for some pretty good teams. Obviously Melo, Chauncey, Marcus Camby, as you mentioned. Like you must have some stories from just that time, and I know obviously that was more than a decade ago now, but you have some memories from that time in the NBA and with that Nuggets team in particular.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was fortunate to spend 3 years there in Denver with Coach Carl, and we had great teams. I mean, I was there when we traded for Allen Iverson. I was there with AI, J.R. Smith, Chauncey Billups, Melo, Camby, Nene. We had just great guys. They were competitive, defensive-minded. Obviously, in 2009, we lost in the Western Conference Finals, Game 6, to the Lakers and Kobe Bryant.
And they won the title that year, too.
They did. They did win the title. And it was just an amazing time to be around Denver and the energy in the city. The Rockies made the World Series back then. I'll say one of my favorite memories is just going to Toronto. And I'd go to Toronto with the team, obviously. And then I was an advanced scout for my last year and a half in Denver. And so I was scouted in Toronto quite a bit. And I just absolutely thought, the fans, the games there in Toronto had an unbelievable energy and aura about them. I loved my time visiting Toronto and being part of that city. And I can remember some really, really big wins. I think Kenyon Martin, we guarded Chris Bosh really well one game and pulled out a tough win in Toronto. And it was one of those Sunday matinee games and everybody's going crazy in the locker room. So it would always made it better when we were getting on the plane afterwards with the W. But the Raptors have always had amazing fans, and you're lucky to have that team there, and they're lucky to have you as fans.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. No, I was going to say, I'm surprised that you guys took one of those matinee games on Sunday because I know the Raptors always had a really nice advantage because they would play at 1 p.m. Eastern on a Sunday. Yep. And I know, the reputation is out there that the players have a good time in Toronto. It's very friendly for sort of that kind of activity, and especially if teams were able to fly in Saturday night and then have to play that matinee game. The Raptors had a very, very good record in those games. So, definitely some good times. Actually, I wanted to ask you, did you cross paths with Masai at any point in Denver, or was that sort of still?
I did. I worked with Masai a little bit when I was first in Denver. Masai was awesome. I mean, he still is. Obviously, he's fantastic. And Dan Tolzman, who works in the front office there for the Raptors, was with us in Denver, and he's actually an Arizona grad. So I have good relationships there in Toronto. There's great people, and obviously Masai has proven to be one of the best at what he does in the world, and not just for the Raptors, but also what he's done for the continent of Africa and the Basketball Without Borders and just the leagues that have developed, with his kind of push and influence, along with many others, but. It's amazing what Masai's done for the game of basketball. It's really inspiring, and he talked about it. He was doing some of that stuff back when he was working for the Nuggets, and he had a vision, and he's accomplished a lot of what he set out to do.
Yeah, he is truly one of those people that you get around them, and they have an aura about them, and they have a wisdom and a long-term perspective on things. And it's I guess to you probably is no surprise that he's become so successful in his career, and obviously, he did a good job in Denver and then came to Toronto and is doing a great job here. So, Coach, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate all the stories and the insight into Christian. We're looking forward to seeing how he progresses. And best of luck with the season next year.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Have a great day, and good luck in your pursuit of new players as well.
Oh, I can't wait. If that happens... Yeah. Oh man. I swear that'll be the only thing we'll talk about on this station. But anyway, thank you, Coach.
I'm sure. Yeah. Have a great day. Bye.
All right, that was associate head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Jack Murphy, uh, giving us some really great insight into the Raptors rookie, and also a little bit about just the NBA. And yeah, those were some great teams, honestly. That '09 run by the Nuggets, the amount of talent, especially offensively on that team, was really really fun to watch. They gave Kobe a really good battle. They gave the Lakers a really good battle, but especially Kobe versus Melo. You go back and watch some of those games. I mean, old prime Melo in that jersey, the powder blue Denver. I mean, that thing was like everywhere. Like you literally saw people wear that everywhere. Um, and those were some really really good teams. So it was really good to reminisce a little bit with Coach about that. Now, we are going to go to the break, but before we do that, I want to let you know that if you are in the Toronto area or want to watch some basketball this week, you can catch the inaugural Global Jam Showcase, the first of its kind. It's an international event. They're taking over the Mattamy Athletic Center from July 5th to 10th, and Sportsnet is serving up full court coverage of the debut men's and women's under 23 basketball showcase. You can catch all the action starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. Ben Schulman and Javon Shepard serve you the daytime coverage all week. And tonight, you can watch the women's round robin between Belgium and Canada on Sportsnet at 6 p.m. Eastern, followed by the men's round robin between Brazil and Canada on Sportsnet 1 with friends of the program, Matt Devlin, Amy Audibert, who will deliver the call. So we will take that break. I'm your host, William Liu, and you've been listening to The Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm your host, Win Lou. Joining me for the second segment today is a friend of the program, Andy Liu from the Light Years podcast. What's up, Andy? Congrats on the championship. You guys won again. Hooray. What's going on, man? I told you I'd call you after the Warriors won the championship.
It doesn't get any better. All we talk about is ranking championships. I know you got me on to talk KD, so everybody ranks the KD championships at the bottom. So it's a fitting time, right, to talk about another. It's also ironic, by the way, that Toronto won a championship in between the Warriors dynasty with a guy that they got for a year. And it looks like they might get a guy that they can win a championship with again. And who knows how long he's going to stay. Like, I could see Durant coming for you. Anyway, I know we're not there yet. But thank you for the congratulations. It felt like I was in the parade,
Yeah, look, listen, officially, the official reason to get you on was we wanted the Otto Porter Jr. scouting report, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need an in-depth breakdown on what Otto Porter Jr.'s game is like. But even before that, though, I wanted to ask you, like, yeah, man, how'd you celebrate? Keeping in mind that this is live radio, but, still, like, how'd you celebrate, man? Let me know.
Yeah, I got to keep it PG-ish. Sadly enough, I had COVID. I caught it.
No.
I know. So I didn't have really bad symptoms, actually. So I barely had anything, but I had to quarantine, right? So really what I did was just drink a lot by myself.
Yeah,
and
that's the cure.
Smoke
a
lot.
Yeah.
It is the cure. Yeah, it didn't help me actually get any better, but I was happy. I'll tell you this. When I'll fully admit this. When Steph, it's the scene now when Steph was crying, he fell to the ground and ended the game 6. I gotta admit, I don't know if it was COVID or not. I don't know if it was the 6th shot of whatever it was I was drinking, but I was tearing up, man. It was a good moment. I tell you that I didn't tear up at all the first 3, and this one felt different. So
yeah, no, seriously, it was. On this program, our stance was very clear. It was we were not going to root for Boston, so we were definitely going to root for the Warriors. And yeah, man, even at the start of Game 6, it was looking tough. Not gonna lie to you, it was looking really tough. You guys weren't even getting shots up. I felt like, and the Celtics, as always, come out looking like they're this dominant team. And then, of course, you guys hit them with that 21-0 run. And, the game was over. I guess you guys you probably were just chilling and enjoying for the whole second half. I don't know if you were, like, nervous, but for me, I'm like, the Warriors really won again. Like, the whole second half, I'm just soaking it in,
I stopped getting nervous, funny enough, and not to be arrogant, I stopped getting nervous.
Not to be arrogant. What do you mean, bro? What do you mean?
It was over after Game 4. It was over. Like, that was the game where, obviously, if the Warriors lose, series is most likely over. But they won that game behind Steph, and it felt to me, it's like, well, they're not losing at home. They already choked one away. They're not choking another one. And the Warriors do this thing. We've watched them all for so long. They do this thing where once they figure you out, it's over. And they figured Boston out in Game 4, and it was over, even though Boston was up late. But just defensively, they had figured that Boston offense out. And when that happens, we saw it against Memphis. We saw it against Cleveland. In my opinion, I thought they did it against Toronto a little bit. I thought they figured Toronto out, especially Kawhi in 2019. Yep. They just ran out.
I agree.
There. So, once they do that, they're good. So I never thought it was going to go 7 games. But, hey, believe me, man, midway through Game 4, I actually don't even think I remember that game watching it live, but I've rewatched it many times. And that might have been Steph's kind of stamped number 1 playoff performance, just with the stakes that had.
Yeah, no more Steph slander ever again. Although it'll come back, and I know it'll come back, and it'll get you guys riled up. It'll get Steph riled up. I love seeing the Warriors. After they won the championship, the amount of just like shots they took back at people. Steph was doing it. Clay was doing it. Draymond obviously will do it no matter what. I think Draymond probably would have taken shots even though they lost. But it was honestly just as a temporary Warrior fan, it was very enjoyable to watch, and I can't believe you get to root for them all the time. So I guess the last question about the Warriors is just like, do you think you guys are favorites again for next year?
Losing GP2 is pretty big.
Yeah.
Losing Otto Porter is pretty big too. Like those, but the Warriors thought they would lose Otto Porter. I think they knew he'd be gone. Great signing, by the way. But with GP2, that's a tough one. I would say they're still the favorites. I think a lot of it depends on how much better Moody and Kuminga get. Basically, those are their number 8, 9 guys now. And I thought Moody could have played more in the postseason. Kuminga, it's like, who knows? He could be incredible. He could not. Like, to me, I comp him to Pascal Siakam. I mean, I did that not just because I'm on the show now, but like he has that upside, and Siakam was an All-NBA player in my opinion last season. So I would think they're the favorite. I'm a Warriors fan. You know what I mean? It's always where I'm going to go.
Objectively, you guys just won, man. It's not like you guys lost like core pieces. You know,
the two
plus you guys
best
got
teams,
Dante. You know, like come on, man.
Yeah. Oh man, I would love to hear a scouting report on Dante DiVincenzo. I haven't watched him since Milwaukee, so it's like it's tough. Even though Sack's right up the street for me, but it's just like I don't watch Sack games, and it's like the guy's been hurt, so we'll see. Right, if he's 70% of the defender Gary Payton is, they'll be fine. Yeah, but who knows? GP2 was a top 3 defender in the NBA. I mean, top 2 maybe. Just ridiculous defender. So I don't know. I don't know what they do, but again, like it's all as long as they get in the postseason and Steph and Clay and Draymond are healthy, these guys will be fine.
Yeah, it's no surprise that Portland took him from you guys because Portland's been trying to copy you guys this whole time. Didn't they also try to chase Draymond as well? So
yeah, they'll try to get KD too. That's what they'll try to do.
They want the discount Warriors around discount Steph. Anyway. We're here to talk about.
That's a better way that I could put it. Shoot.
We got to talk about Otto Porter, man. So as you mentioned, smart signing for the Raptors. I agree. Short-term deal. Honestly, I was a little surprised he didn't get the full mid-level. I thought at first that's what he was gonna get, but as it turns out, he kind of got slightly more than the taxpayer. So he got like 6.5, maybe 7. Whereas I thought he would probably get closer to 10. But in any case, short-term contract, a reliable veteran. Yeah, just obviously he was only on the Warriors for this past year, right? But can you describe like the role he played and sort of just like what's the best way to use a guy like Otto Porter?
Love him. Absolutely love him. When the Warriors got him last season for the vet min, it was the perfect signing. I remember thinking, wow, this guy signed here for this. I think he had taxpayer mid-level offers last season, probably for a really bad team. So he took a discount to play for the Warriors. It worked out. But like you said, like I thought he'd get more. I thought he'd get like maybe 2 years, 25 or something like that. Yeah. But he got what he got because he couldn't stay healthy, even though he lasted throughout the season. So let's start with the bad. He played 60-plus games, but he also was he didn't play very much, like 20-plus minutes a game. Yeah. They were very, very they load managed him, right? Like to the max. Even when he was at a slight strain or something like that, they keep him out for a week. That's just what the Warriors do nowadays. They just keep guys out all the time. But I think it was a perfect spot for Otto Porter. So you don't want to see him play 30-plus minutes. You don't want to see him play 70-plus games. If it's great if that happens. If it's not good for his body, even though he's under 30 years old. Yeah. For the good stuff, though, so much good stuff. He's a very good passer. If you have an offensive system, he's going to be able to function within that system. He's extremely smart, both offensively and defensively. For the Warriors, I'm used to watching just super smart players play. Yeah. Otto Porter was up there in terms of one of the smartest guys, especially offensively. Just knows how to pass the ball, and he's a great shooter. I mean, you give him an open shot, it's going in every single time. The other thing he's underrated on is rebounding. Had no idea that this dude was a great rebounder, but he became just an elite offensive, defensive rebounder, especially in the postseason. So you're probably looking at playing him at the 4. The Warriors even got away with playing him a little bit at the 5 sometimes. Yeah. He's too slow now to play any of the 3 positions. He got his max contract, if you remember way back when, because he could guard 2s, 3s, and 4s. Now it's like he could pretty much only guard 4s and 5s, and he can only pretty much play 4 and 5, but he's still extremely valuable, both sides of the ball doing that.
No, that's great to hear, man. And I think that's the thing, too, for people who are, excited about the signing. Like, I don't think there's any expectations that he's going to start for the Raptors, but I think it's a really nice depth piece. I think he's going to fit into the team nicely. And, just even looking at the box score, it seems like basically you guys just didn't play him on back-to-backs. Like, you guys rested him for every back-to-back. That's the way to keep him healthy, and I think that it wouldn't be a surprise if the Raptors kind of continued that sort of strategy. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like he was pretty happy playing a role, though, which I think is probably the most important thing for me. Is just like, I'm surprised he took this deal, just because I think he probably could have gotten a little bit more. But it seems like he really values like the team and the fit that he's in, and if you're one of those guys who wants to win, then it's easy to sort of plug and play those kind of guys. Yeah.
His wife is from Toronto, I think. I think I saw that.
You know what? Oddly, Andy, I've heard conflicting reports.
It's not. Is it not true?
I don't know. Apparently, it's not. I don't. I've been told it's true, and I've been told it's not true. So I think we eventually got to call his wife or call him at least.
Maybe ask him at some point. The Warriors had a vetman out for him. I think Otto wanted to come back. The Warriors only were going to pay him a vetman, which is I mean,
wow, no more checkbook wins, huh?
Yeah, kind of disrespectful.
That's a checkbook
Well, that's why
loss.
they lost GP too. I mean, it really is a checkbook loss. I mean, they didn't want to pay GP either. So I think he wants to stay in a winning organization. The dude's made so much money in his career. The thing for him was like staying in a winning organization and playing a style that made sense for him. Like he doesn't want to stay in a hey, let's pound the rock and heliocentric. Like he's not going to Dallas, right? Like, he's not playing with guys like him. Not going to play with guys like James Harden. So I think Toronto it's a good fit. Plus, he joins the 16 wing guys that you have. He's probably going to be able to play a little bit more. Like you can play him, you could slot him next to Scotty Barnes. You can go small that way. Maybe next to Pascal too, or you can go jumbo. Get all three of those guys out there.
Oh, we'll do that.
Keep OG on the floor, but I mean, I love this Toronto team. I loved it last season. I know you're going to ask me about KD. I almost don't want you guys to make that move because I just love the bunch of wings that you have and how they can play together. So I think Otto is a perfect fit for you guys, especially when it comes to the postseason. Okay. He's not a shot creator though. That's the thing is like he won't get any looks. So I think there's still a weakness there, Toronto. But other than that, man, the guy's a perfect fit.
No, that's like the main issue with the Raptors. It's just like I think defensively they're already really good, but that offensive creation that you especially need in the playoff setting, that's where I do see Pascal will struggle at times. Or even if it's not even, honestly, this past year Pascal was pretty good at creation against the Sixers. It's just like he had no secondary option really reliably around him. And even for him, he's probably more natural of like he'll be really good for you like 3 out of 6 games in the series. Versus like I think you need a guy who's going to be great for you like 5 out of 6 games in a series, which is a guy like Kevin Durant. And we have reached that portion where I need a Kevin Durant consult from Asian podcaster to Asian podcaster. Like, yeah, so honestly, like how annoying would it be? We know the benefits. I don't need you to come in and tell me like how good KD is. Obviously, we saw peak KD with the Warriors. You guys were, invincible. Even when he came back briefly in that series in 2019, he had 11 points in 13 minutes, or maybe 13 points in 11 minutes, and that's fresh off of injury. And obviously, he was still banged up, and he unfortunately got hurt. Like, we know all the positives. Everyone should know what the positives of Kevin Durant on your team is. I need to know what are the negatives. What's the baggage? I'm not asking you to hate on him. I'm just asking, realistically, what are things that you might expect from Kevin that you might not necessarily expect from having, let's say, an ordinary player?
Yeah, two things. Let's talk about Kevin as he is with fans, right? How he interacts there, and then as he is with the team. So it's gonna be great season 1. It's always great. You get a top 15 player of all time. He is just 2-time for all that stuff. It's gonna be absolutely incredible. Okay. He's going to look amazing next to the guys that you have next to you. You are instantly the best team in the Eastern Conference, probably, depending on who you give up, probably the NBA title favorites. It's going to be great year 1. So there's going to be no complaints there. Yeah, no, there's going to be absolutely none. And then it's like the honeymoon phase. Like this guy is the peak of honeymoon phases. Once that first year ends, he's going to be miserable for reasons only known to him. Nobody knows why he's miserable. He's going to be moody. He's going to be just kind of very odd, very withdrawn. I compare him to kind of just like a teenager almost emotionally. I always say the guy needs a therapist, or he just needs someone that he can talk to because he's just so odd, and not in a bad way. He's not doing anything bad, by the way. No, he's good in the community. He's good to people. He's just mentally exhausting for people to be around, and that's both fans and players, but especially the players and organizations. I'll flip it over to that side. He spent the last year with the essentially not talking to anyone.
Why
that last season?
Why? Is there a reason? Like, was there like? I know obviously people point to like the Clipper game where him and Draymond.
No, it was before that. Like it started before that.
That's what it kind of feels like, because that's like an irrational reaction to like a fairly innocuous play.
Right. Like Draymond lost control, and it's like it's not because of that,
right? Yeah,
right? It's because of the way, and everybody. So it started after the first season. Is what it started. It started when the Warriors won the championship, and Kevin, I think, expected people to immediately anoint him as the best player in the world, and not for people to criticize the way that he won a championship. The Warriors themselves, they don't really care that much. Like Steph playing Draymond, they've talked to KD already this week, and they've like, hey, if you want to come back, like we're for it. Like they don't care. They know that at the end of the day, if we just win, we're good. Like we people will criticize us no matter what we do. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But with Kevin, it affected him after that first title. And then after that, it was downhill. He stopped playing the system that the Warriors wanted him to play, which made them the greatest team of all time. Then it kind of ended in a very weird second season. They won the championship anyway. But if you remember, they were down 3-2 to Houston. And one of the reasons they were down was because KD just wanted to ISO every single play.
Yeah.
And essentially took a play. So anyway, I'm not going to do that. But like that was the second season. And then the third season was when he just kept signing 1-and-1s, and the Warriors knew he was leaving. And then that just became, as a team that won so many titles that has won before him, it became just mentally crushing for the Warriors. And here's the crazy part. He's so darn good. If he had just stayed healthy, they would have won 3 in a row. And then he would have left anyway.
Yep.
That's Kevin Durant. He does not care.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's see, this is why I needed this consult, because again, like, this is the stuff that you're not going to see on Basketball Reference. You know what I'm saying? But look, if I were to offer some sort of rebuttal, I would say maybe, look, that was KD in his 20s. You know, he's going to turn 34 at some point this season. Maybe he's a changed man. Maybe he's just got to settle down with the right organization, you know, like the Raptors, you know. I mean, actually, it was interesting because I was remembering the last time you were on, right? I think it was after the Warriors lost game 1 of the finals, and whatever, right? We're still pretty confident the Warriors are still going to win. But I think we actually had a conversation about KD, and you were talking about how, like, the personality at that time, just between, like, KD's personality and what he wanted to do, like, off the court, and just, like, the kind of the way he wanted to live life was a little different from, like, the rest of the Warriors at that time. You know, Steph being a parent, Draymond being a parent, Clay doing Clay things, and we're not going to go deeper into just Clay things, assorted Clay activities, okay? And Andre obviously being a little older, wanting to play golf, and it just didn't feel like the personality was kind of fitting. Like, I mean, is that also still a thing for him? Like, is he still just looking for that as well? Because I don't even know if the Raptors will offer him that, by the way. Like, I mean, the Raptors are fairly tight-knit as a group, but I don't know, man. What's it going to take to make this guy happy?
Got a good nightlife scene.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, that's the
is that what he wants?
That's the...
You know, like
okay, so you hit on something, by the way. You hit on something I want to talk about a little bit. The personalities that KD came for. So he came to the Warriors thinking, and this is not that they're not a family, but he came to Warriors thinking that he was going to be able to build into something like a family with the guys that the Warriors had, essentially kind of from the ground up. And now you can kind of understand why he went to Brooklyn. The problem with that, like you said, though, is that, dude, Steph had kids already. Clay does his own thing. Clay barely hangs out with anyone with the Warriors unless it's the season. Draymond now, like, even then he was doing his own stuff. But and he had kids and a fiance, right? So like those, and Andre is just old. He doesn't go out. He's not 23. He's
an investor,
anymore.
baby.
So,
Right.
Yeah,
he's a capitalist.
And I think KD. That's Andre, man. By the way, his podcast is so much better than Draymond's. It's actually ridiculous. As much fanfare as Draymond gets for his pod, which kind of speaks to those guys. But KD wanted that, and I think when he realized that he couldn't get it, that was one of the main reasons why he went to Brooklyn with Kyrie. And you know, then you figure out you actually can't build something together with a guy like Kyrie, because I think KD can actually do it. Yes, I think KD can't do it. I just don't think Kyrie can. I mean, we know Kyrie can. So with Toronto, I don't know. I don't know the players of Toronto. I don't know where they are in the phase of their lives. I don't know if that's what KD wants. I do think KD wants. I do think KD wants something like what Steph got this season. I will say that.
What does that mean? Like,
and Steph wants
worldwide praise, like everyone loving you and recognizing that you're a top 10 kind of guy, like, because he has that. I think absolutely has that talent and ability. But it's weird when you think about, like, the idea of Kevin Durant, and also just like what he's done in his career. 7-footer, arguably one of the top 5 scorers of all time. You can even make a case he is the best and most skilled scorer of all time based on his body and his ability to shoot and score and create. There's nothing on the court he can't do. And yet when you think about, like, the overall accomplishments that he's made, like the fact that he has those 2 chips with the Warriors, he was, like, probably the most productive player on those teams, although you could probably still make this argument that Steph was more important systematically. But it's like, that is, like, the only 2 things on his career that it's like, if you look back at it, honestly, you might be a little underwhelmed. Just based on the talent.
I always say, if he wasn't on the Warriors, he would just be like a much better version of Carmelo Anthony or like Tracy McGrady. Like I have always said that, and it's kind of sad, right? And I always say this to people with Kevin. It's like, dude, if you wanted this recognition, if you wanted to go to a place to do this, then why did you go to Golden State then? Why did you do that? Because I could have told you before that happened that you shouldn't do this. Right? Like, it wasn't like, oh, you went to Golden State, and then all of a sudden he saw this criticism coming that he didn't know was coming. Mm-hmm. No, we knew that was coming. Everybody knew that if you're going to a team that won a championship and had won 73 games before, that you're going to get that criticism. If you thought that you could get above that, that's not happening. Yeah. And so that's why it always made that decision so curious. I'm still happy about it because at the end of the day, it worked out for the Warriors.
Arguably the greatest basketball team of all time, that 2017 team.
I rank that championship higher than most because of that. Because I got to sit here and I relaxed for 365 days from July to July, July 4th to July. Like, I saw this team just go through. And that LeBron Kyrie team was one of the best teams. They were better than they were the season before, and they got smacked. It was not even close. Yeah. They only won because the refs cheated in Game 4 and called like 80 fouls in the first quarter. Like, it's still really disgusting. Oh my god! But I love it. But anyway, Anyway, I don't know what's gonna make KD happy, man. But I do think that when you talk about systems and organizations and cultures, I mean, who's better than Toronto? I mean, Golden State, right? But like Miami. But other than that, like, it's Toronto. Yeah, I know. Like, those are the top 3 cultures in the NBA.
Fair enough. Listen, man, I can't wait for Kevin to come to this organization. I guess my last question, we only got a minute left, is there anything as a podcaster, as a media personality that I got to avoid? I just don't want to alienate KD, the way you did.
He's going to be listening to the show every chance he gets.
Yo, KD, you're the GOAT, bro. You're the GOAT. You're way better than Steph, man. Steph's 6'2".
Oh, he'll love to hear that. Call. He thinks Kyrie's better than Steph. No, look, man. As
the bag is deeper.
The guy, the most skilled player of all time. The guy listens to everything. Every player listens to everything. Okay. But like, there's a difference between, like, Steph listens to everything that people send him. So people send him like a 10-second clip of like something. KD will listen to a podcast for 45 minutes. Yeah. Like, that's the difference. Okay. Like, that man has no life. He is in there. He is hooping and listening to your takes.
I wish you were joking.
If he ever comes back to the Warriors, I'm all in.
Yeah. No, you got to apologize, man. You got to apologize. They might have to sacrifice you in the deal. Like, they'll trade you to Brooklyn or something.
That's not bad. Brooklyn's not bad.
They got Asians in Brooklyn. All right, look, man. Andy, I could talk to you all day, but I got to let you go, man, before we talk about stuff. So I appreciate you, man. Take care. And congrats on the championship again. Seriously, I hope you celebrate to the full extent, man.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, man. Take care.
All right, that was Andy Liu, Warriors Twitter legend. And that does it for us today. I'm your host, Will Liu. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Make sure you find The Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts, subscribe, and please rate and review our show. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thanks again to my guests, Coach Shaq Murphy, Andy Liu, our board producer, Derek Brandale, and Jennifer Rolnick for helping us with the YouTube stream. And I'll be back tomorrow, probably to talk about Kevin Durant again. I know it's never going to end.